At the end of the book of Job, in chapter 42, what scholars call the prose epilogue to the book, Job is restored. His fortunes are restored and his family is restored. It says, and the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends, and the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. The Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, and he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He named the first Jemimah, the second Keziah, and the third Keren-Hapuk. In all the land there were no women so beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years and saw his children and his children's children 4 generations, and Job died old and full of days. That's how the book of Job ends. Now, this epilogue, this ending of the book, is not satisfactory to a lot of people. Many people view it as kind of anticlimactic or kind of wrapping up too neatly this book that's full of such ferocity, full of such emotion. Here, Job has been defending his integrity. He's been arguing with his friends for so many chapters about his innocence and about the fact that he hasn't done anything to deserve all his suffering. And then, right before this, God has appeared to Job and has spoken to him in the divine speeches and has given him this tour of the cosmos. And now, in just a few verses, everything is set right. And it just seems too trite or too neat. That Job has just given back everything. He's given twice as much, in fact, as what he had before in terms of his livestock and his servants. But he's also given 7 sons and 3 daughters, just the number that he had before. And this is the part that really infuriates most people who are dissatisfied with this ending. That is, how can God just replace the 10 children that died at the beginning of the book of Job? How can children be replaced? Now, Dan Simonson, who wrote much of the commentary on the Book of Job on this website, he makes the point that Job, that it never says that Job doesn't grieve the first 10 children, and I think that's an excellent point. Job does obviously grieve the loss of his first 10 children, and they can't be just simply replaced by the second set of children. It never says that. So I think you have to understand that Job does grieve the loss of the first 10 children. And you also have to note some interesting details here. And I'm taking some of this, much of this, from the work of J. Gerald Jansen in his very excellent commentary on Job, and the work of Ellen Davis. That is, the details are interesting. Job is given 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he gives the daughters names, Jemimah, Keziah, and Keren-Hapuk, which in English are translated something like dove and cinnamon stick and rouge pot. These are interesting names. They're not safe names. They're not typical names. And in all the land there were no women so beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. The daughters are given these beautiful names. They're beautiful women, and they're given an inheritance along with their brothers. This is unheard of in the ancient Near East, that daughters are given an inheritance. This is an act of freedom that Job gives his daughters. He's learned something in this book. In other words, he's learned to live and to love as God does, to give his daughters the freedom that God gives God's creatures, as we see in the divine speeches. God gives God's creatures the freedom to be who they're created to be, the wild animals and Leviathan and Behemoth and the stars and the wind and the rain and the snow. So Job gives his children now, particularly his daughters, the freedom to be who they're created to be. The epilogue can be read as anticlimactic, but I don't think that's a proper reading or a faithful reading of the epilogue. I think it's a profound act of faith for Job and for his wife, of course, to have more children, even when they know how much potential pain that will cause. They have gone through hell in the death of their first 10 children. So it's a profound act of faith for them to have more children, even knowing the pain that may potentially cause. It's a profound act of faith In other words, for Job to live again and to love again after all he's been through. The epilogue can be read as trite and anticlimactic, but I don't think it needs to be. I think it can be read as, a profound act of faith, as very life-affirming. I think it's meant to be read that way.